How was the presentation? Okay. Okay, you can be a little excited, yeah? How many of you have actually, have seen the presentation and started thinking a lot of areas where you can actually fine tune and see how the conceptually Sumeet and Ketki put together in such a simple way? It's all about perception. Do you believe? Yes. How you look at it and the way Sumeet and Ketki put the perspective, it's very, very practical. And I was keep observing with so many examples in an hour, in a period of about 40-45 minutes, they were able to share. Yeah. And you can actually take them on board and share. Right? So they actually impacted all of us. I would say let's give a big round of applause to Sumeet and Ketki. This event, all of you know that this event wouldn't be possible without leaders who are actually stepping up to volunteer and serve the team. Okay, so a lot of you have come here for the first time or many times and seen things are organized and well in place, but that doesn't happen by accident. Okay, there are people who actually commit to it, okay, and they want to serve, but at the same time we want to recognize them and we want to thank them. So please help me thank all the leaders who have helped us to usher and organize the setup of today. So may I request all the people who have ushered tonight to stand up on your feet here if you are in the room, so we can actually recognize you. For your serving hood, they actually organize the setup. Can you also thank our lovely ladies on the registration, okay, Lalita, Eileen, and Sugandha. Can I request you to stand up on your feet, please, so we can? Yes, exactly, ma'am. And how about our AV team? Woo! One of the finest team in Australia Team and Global is the Melbourne AV team. And I can tell you the people are so awesome and they are stepped up big time. And they have learned so much. And Raj is here. We have a Shakti and we have a Chamar consistently serving and making the event. And the people who come here for the first time experience the professional environment. It's important, right? Yes. And that's volunteerism. And that's a big serving good. Please thank give us a round of applause. And then everybody who actually made this event so wonderful by being here and one other way help, and all the leaders who are actually working on organizing the larger part. So please give a round of applause to everybody who are missing on any name. So yes, so are you all set for a training tonight? Yes. And I tell you, when it comes to Sumeet and Ketki, I look at them as a leader who has a vision. And they have always been guiding through setting the right thought process. Okay, so while you listen to them, I would encourage you, take a pen and write it down. Because we have so much of things we record, but then we have so much of things to listen back and we don't have time to listen those recordings, right? So I would encourage you, take your mobile out, take your note pen out, and next 20-25 minutes when they are here, take the pointers, because you can reflect back on them. If they spend hours to prepare for that, let's take the advantage of that 15-20 minutes and impact our life and our team. So with that, please help me welcome Sumeet and Ketki.
Great. Who's excited here? Great. Sumeet and Ketki, very humbled, sponsored, mentored, and nurtured in this phenomenal opportunity by Double Diamond is going triple very soon. Ganesh and Rekha Shenoy from Detroit, Michigan. And of course, thanks so much for the leadership here, Team and Global leadership, in really believing us to give us this opportunity. Now, what I want to do is, how many people here have actually booked their tickets for the summer conference? Can you please stand up? Fantastic. Can we give a round of applause? Keep standing. See, what I want to do, I think we just came back from Jumpstart Your Business. People have talked about honoring the partnership, okay? And I wanted to just recognize you guys because you've taken the step ahead in honoring that partnership. Okay. When somebody promoted, I remember. Take a seat. Thank you so much. I remember that first time our mentors had to really really promote only one open meeting or so. After that, they never had to mention anything to us, for any open meeting or Friday night hangout. I remember me and Ketki, we used to live in an open meeting which was a little bit far away. Our city was very far away, so for one way it used to take us 2.5 hours to get to the open and come back. But we were there at every open, every Friday night hangout, and we were a lot of times we were before the local people over there. Okay, why? Because nobody ever had to tell us. Okay. So same way as business owners, nobody has to ever tell you to go to a conference. The conference for me and Ketki, it was for us to actually take ourselves and our mindset to the next level. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the conference video and then we'll come back and share.
Step up and move on to Emerald and Diamond and EDC, guess what? Ravi and not be circle broken.
So when we saw the opportunity, we were already making good income for our jobs. We were pretty well set. But I remember going to a big function, a big conference through Team One Global Run and seeing many, many professionals, doing something together, collaborating, working together to accomplish their goals and dreams. And that really, created a spark within me and my wife that we can do something also.
How does it feel to walk out of such a high-paying and successful career? What are the plans for the future?
If you had told me when I started this business with an underground company with a big board by children, that one day I would be able to walk away from my job after 27 years of education, I would have not believed it enough.
That's of course the link, really what we wanted to, we're just going to take about 15-20 minutes to just share a few things, okay? See, people have been talking about summer conference. If you've been here, if you went to jumpstart your business, okay, you learned quite a lot of things over there, okay? And I think one thing that really stood out from jumpstart your business, of course, there were so many nuggets, but one thing that actually Deepak and Megha mentioned was whatever you learn applied in 48 hours, okay? And so we're going to recommend the same thing. Whatever you learn, see how you can actually apply it in the next 48 hours. As a matter of fact, the topic is very relevant to the end of the month, so you can definitely actually look back at the last couple of months to really use it. So if you can just go to the next slide. Yeah. So we want to talk a little bit about the importance of actually solidification. Okay? And what does that really mean? Okay? How many people know what do we mean by solidification? Can anybody share? Nobody?
A solid business.
A solid
proper
business
structure.
with a proper structure. Okay, structure. What else? Anything else? One at a time, loudly.
Qualifying and moving on.
Duplication.
Okay. Duplication. Okay. Securing and moving. Okay. Anything else? Foundation. Okay. Anything else in terms of solidification?
Volume.
Predictable.
Volume. Anything else?
Predictability.
Predictability and ongoing. Okay. So predictability is ongoing. Anything else?
Stable.
That's very good. Stable foundation. Fantastic. All very good words. Now, see, solidification, if I look at the dictionary, is something that becomes firm. Okay, something that goes from whatever liquid to a solid state. Okay, physics and everything. Okay, long time ago I learned it. Okay, but But if you think about it, something that actually becomes firm and becomes a foundation. And we're going to talk a little bit about because why is that so important, and we're going to touch base a little bit in terms of really what does that mean. Okay, see, a lot of times when we think about solidification, a lot of times people think about, hey, you know what, I went 400 PV last month. This month I want to go, go 400 PV once again. Okay, that's solidification, and that's all good, and that's of course just the volume component of it. But if you look at the business, there are so many different components to it. Okay, and actually volume is, to be frank, almost like an output. Okay, or of the work that you do, and volume is a result of that. Okay, a lot of times. So we're going to talk about a few different things in terms of fixed and variable. Okay, now in terms of if you look at somebody who has a solid business, when I look at my mentor and coach, they always say you should study your, applying your mentor and coach, who's actually, is of course platinum and up, and look at their business and study their business. Okay, or somebody who's an emerald or somebody who's a diamond and up, and study their business. And if you look at, let's say, Heman's business or Ganesh's business, it's actually a very solid business. Okay, and a couple of things because. Ganesh was telling me once, he said, Sumeet, I actually qualified diamond, double diamond actually on the first 1 or 2 days of the month. Okay, what does that mean? That means all the volume, the core volume, okay, comes within that first, few days. And so a lot of times we think that solidification is very much related to volume. It's actually related to a lot of different parameters. It's a key different parameters. See, you as a business owner, you need to understand what are the key parameters that actually move the needle. Okay, volume is just one of them, but there's so many more. There's mindset. There is areas which you have to identify as a person that you can actually grow into, which is skill set. Areas that you can actually identify at the end of the month. See, as a business owner, if you look at any businesses, any businesses outside, what they do is they actually have. If anybody is in accounting, at the end of the month, what they call it. Binan can help me. Close the month, correct? Close the month. Okay, what do they mean? That means all the transaction going in and coming out and all of that, they need to be closed and essentially packed, and then they can move on to the next month. Is that correct? So as a business owner, how are you closing your month? Month of January, tomorrow is the last day. How are you closing? Are you identifying, hey, are you able to pinpoint what you did right this month? Are you able to pinpoint what did not go right for you this month? So the next month when you're going in, you can actually, duplicate what is going right, and then maybe tweak a few areas which are not working. Does that make sense? So in terms of solidification, you have to, as a business owner, you have to identify some of the key parameters in terms of your business, where your business actually is. A lot of times we actually go to our mentors and coaches with a game plan. Hey, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. But have you looked at the last month or maybe the last few months and identified what has worked for you? And does that include in the game plan? Have you identified what has not worked for you? And are you asking the right questions? Hey, what can I do? Hey, you know what? I'm able to actually do a meet and greet. I'm able to do meet and greet too. But after that, some of the candidates are actually falling through. What can I do about it? Hey, actually, when I connect with somebody, it's great. But when I actually do a meet and greet, something I'm unable to make a connection. Something. It might be anything. So are you identifying those variables and are you identifying those fixed things? Okay. Third thing is, are you identifying? Can you identify what needs can be fixed? Okay. In terms of different areas. Okay. And Ketki is going to touch upon all these different areas. But as a business owner, are you able to do that? Okay. And see, if you're relatively, just launched new in the business, let's say less than 90 days or so. Of course, you want to touch base with your mentor, but more than that, after the 90 days, you have to ask yourself, hey, how can I actually study my business? Okay, you know what it takes to go 400 and 6,000 and 2,000 and all the different things. You kind of understand it, so now you are able to break it down. Okay, are you able to fix those? Okay. Maybe somebody stopped responding to you. Maybe somebody got launched and then they are unable to. They don't respond to you. How do you message? What do you actually say? What do you not say? Are you able to identify those areas? Okay. So can you fix the leaks? And then last one is my coach always said this. He said, "Sumeet, business is actually amazing because business leaves clues." So he always used to say that hey, if you forget to listen to the whispers, eventually they'll become cries and they'll become loud noises. Okay, so maybe somebody who's actually been launched the business maybe is not responding very effectively. Okay, is there something that you can cover in your upcoming game plan with him or a coaching session with him? Okay, maybe it might be somebody, maybe your spouse, maybe you are unable to create that uniformity at the home team, but are you waiting till it's actually are you being reactive or are you being proactive? And so you are identifying those areas. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have Ketki get into some of the details in terms of what parameters do you really look into.
Awesome. So thanks everyone, and thanks to all the volunteers who stood up earlier and to the leadership for giving us this opportunity. We're blessed to be mentored and nurtured in this business by Double Diamond Story Triple Ganesh and Rekashinoy. And just following on from what Sumeet said is, one of the things that Ganesh always says to us is, if you grew in your business last month, do you know why? And if you did not grow in your business, do you know why? Because if you know why, in both cases, chances are that you know where your strengths lie, and secondly, you know where your opportunities are. So you can actually go and work on it. Because you don't want to be building a business in an ad hoc manner, right? Amway pays you for solidifying your volume, right? It's only when you maintain your volume for 6 months or for 12 months. Why? Because they want to make sure that you have a solid business. So I'm just going to touch upon the 4 different areas which we feel are the most important when you're looking to solidify. And as Sumeet said, right, pins is always a byproduct. Pins hurt, right? Human says. So a couple of things is, first thing is solidifying your mindset and attitude. And we thought we'd make this a little bit visual today because that's really how we think as people. The first and foremost thing is that, I remember when we were putting an activity into the business, some of you who are brand new or maybe you're 30, 60 days in, you're still in that initial excitement and launching and that sort of a phase, which is fantastic. But you will go through a phase where maybe you will try a few things, you will fail, you will go through the process of learning. So one of the things is that to eliminate guilt. Sometimes we have so many voices in our head saying that it's your fault or you did this and you were not good enough and I'm not this and I'm not that and I cannot talk like this person. And I often find that guilt really comes because you're always looking at yourself, focusing on that rather than separating you from your ability. See, I'm very different to what my ability is, right? So the speech pattern that I always use with myself is, hey, I'm a great person. I've just got to learn how to connect with X, Y, and Z type of people. I'm fantastic at business, but I know how to do an MG2. I just need to learn that. Okay, so separate your identity with your ability, and I think that helps you to remove a lot of your guilt. And just take the time to really heal your past, because sometimes when you have failures in the past and you go in for an appointment, no matter who's sitting in front of you, there is a voice inside saying, oh, you may not be good enough for this person, or am I really going to be able to qualify this person, or am I really going to be able to lead a team of 5? See, when that voice whispers, I was reading somewhere that, you've got to inhale your future and exhale your past.
Oh, I like that.
Okay? So every time I get a thought which is a bit negative, right, I just exhale. It's out of my system, right? I'm just going to inhale my future. So that's very important. And honoring the partnership, Sumeet spoke about it. Also having endurance, right? Endurance is so important in anything that we do. I think whoever followed the Australian Open, right? When you saw the men's final, they went to the 5th set. Why? Because both of them were enduring. You've got to hang in there in order to see the result. And last thing is that, with mindset and attitude, it's a bit like, I was talking to my daughter and we were, she's learning gardening and planting trees. So we were looking at this plant and, she was telling me how she gave it, all this, the water and she, put some rich fertilizer in the soil and how she did it. And then she was complaining about this boy who came and threw his drink over there. And that's when, I was thinking through that, and I feel like sometimes, we are building our dream, we're building our business like that plant, but if we're not happy about it, if we're not excited about it, if we're not naive and really looking forward to learning and changing really fast, it's sort of like, giving your plant some chemicals and not really fresh water and rich soil. Okay, so you have that choice. So changing that is very important. Secondly, solidifying, upline relationship. This is so important. Especially for someone, if you've been in business for some time, right? Sometimes you might go to a game plan, sit with your mentors, and they're telling you something about your game plan, but in your mind, you're editing that information, right? And you're saying, I know it, I've already done this. I know this, we already talked about it last month. Yep, this sounds good. And then you go away from that game plan and you make minor edits. For me and Sumeet, it was like, oh no, Ganesh is long distance. Maybe he doesn't know the team, he doesn't know this person, so maybe we should take a different approach. So one thing we really stop doing is don't edit the information that the upline gives you, because your mentor is really, they already understand where you are. And for you to really, stay naive so they can pull you up to their level, asking questions to receive an answer, right? Rather than just asking a question to show that you're engaging with them. Okay? Giving a priority to your mentors, right? They also have a life. Anytime we call Ganesh or Ganesh is making a phone call, I'm running, since Sumeet's phone, I'm running around the house trying to find him. I'm like, oh my God, Ganesh is calling, right? Even if it's a small text message, we're like, oh, have we replied? Have we put a voice note? If we couldn't reply, have we sent something to say that we'll call him back? That's the kind of seriousness that we treat our mentor with, not just when you're new in your partnership, but along the way. So I think when you really want to move on to the next level, first check for us was, hey, are we on the same page and really in that mastermind alliance with our upline, that both the parties are working together. We're like one unit working together. Okay, it's very important to have that, because if there's a disconnect there, then your game plan, your action plan, your feedback, your failures really don't mean anything, because your upline can't add value. You put them in a position of weakness instead of a position of strength. Okay. Next thing is solidifying your work ethic, right? So, firstly, nothing happens on our couch, right? So we've got to go out there and make things happen. You really got to up your game. If you want to be the best in entrepreneurship, if you want to be the best in anything, you always have to start and focus on becoming the best version of yourself. It's not about comparing yourself to anybody, right? It's just becoming the best version of yourself. So work ethic, right? One of the things that Sumeet and I really firstly solidify as we move on is our habits. Okay. So if I was to, let's say, sit with someone in my team, maybe a new partner, could I open my virtual office and show them what my personal volume has been for the past 3 months? Could I open my calendar and show them how many appointments have I had in the past 1 month? And if the answer is no to that, then that means that you've got to change something about your work ethic, right? I was reading somewhere the other day that chains of habit are light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. And sometimes we're building the business, but we might be at a different pace, and we just need to up that pace. Or we need to match it to a level where you feel confident and say, yep, I want to sponsor another Sumeet and Ketki in my business, or whoever your mentor coach is, right? Can you sponsor or launch somebody in your business who's just like you? If the answer to that is yes, that means you're on the right track with your work ethic, okay? And the last thing is, solidifying faith, okay? This is, amazing, right? For us in business, I would say that faith is really top it all, because at any given point of time, you'll never feel that, you have arrived. There'll always be a next level that you want to achieve. So, faith really, I think, ties in so closely with your resolve to do something. Okay, what is your resolve? We all got started in this opportunity. Why? Because we had a dream. We wanted to do something more. We wanted to become something more in life. We wanted to achieve something more, right? But resolve is, what is the grit that you really have of the price that you're willing to pay in order to achieve that dream, that goal, or whatever you want to become. Sometimes there are days, just in the past week, we had so many appointments. I actually, although we live in the same house, I felt like I hadn't even seen Sumeet, okay? But I'm okay with that, because we're delaying that, little bit of family time for a couple of years so that we can have more time as a family in the future. So what is that price that you're willing to pay? Okay, sometimes it's maybe say no for a party because you can go and attend a Friday night hangout, or figuring out a way to budget yourself for the conference. Okay, when I went to my first conference, me and Sumeet always say that we would not have been in business or we would not be here today if we had not attended our first major conference. Because that's really where we captured the dream as a couple. So, faith is so important, the price that you're willing to pay. And I was just reading somewhere the other day that, God decided to move you, and now you've got to go and move the mountain. Right? Sometimes we expect just things to happen around us, but hey, you've actually got to get out, step up. And when you start putting in the work ethic, Ganesh always says that, when you start doing the work ethic, when you're doing the core run, you're in communication with your upline, you're naive, you're excited, you're happy, there will be an army of people who will stand up and say, hey, you know what? I want to be part of your team. I was just sharing with someone earlier as I was talking to them that, you're the heartbeat of your business. If the heart stops beating, all the body parts stop working. Right? So faith is like that heart. It's always going to stay beating. So you've got to be the one who always stays consistent to solidify and take your business to the next level. Okay? But that's all I wanted to share. And I know Steve has a couple of things. I'll pass it back to you.
Really just in closing, what Ketki really shared in terms of really solidifying and how, I'm not going to talk a lot, but how do you do it? We were actually, JSYB, really honoring the partnership. When you come to the open meetings, are you coming with a heavy heart? Oh my God, I got a long day, again, my candidate didn't show up or my guest didn't come. Or I just say, man, you know what? I'm going to be my best version of myself. Because somebody else's candidate is here, and I want to be the best version of myself. Okay? What kind of when you solidify, when me and Kiki are always excited to come to an association, because you know what happens? People's attitudes rub off on each other. Why do you feel great when you talk to a mentor? Why? Because physically nothing has changed. You've not eaten anything or anything has changed, but mentally they are able to change the way you think, and now you suddenly feel good. Yes or no? Yes. How many people have felt that? Okay, I've gone to my mentor with a heavy heart, and just a couple of things that he said. Sometimes just a voice note, and I save it and I listen to it again and again. I love, oh, that's so cool. But you as a person, you need to identify how can you actually, what kind of a formula works for you in terms of solidifying these things for you. Okay, end of the month is coming up. I hope everybody has already got a game plan. If not, see how you can actually reach out to your mentor and book a time in the next couple of days before the month starts, so that you can really work, identify all these things and say, hey, you know what, this month I am actually going to be coming to an association, not so that I can get motivated, but so that I can really solidify my resolve to put an asset together for my family. At the end of the day, people get attracted. I heard in one of the audios, they say that people will, of course, be a part of you because they like you, but they will continue to be a part of you because they want to become like you. So the question that you've got to ask is have you solidified your resolve? Have you solidified all these areas, these key parameters, so that people around you feel, hey man, every time I have called my mentor, sometimes, I have called him at like 5:30, 6 a.m. this time. And I was like, hey Ganesh, how are you doing? Man, I'm excited. Sumeet, I can see it from his voice. He doesn't have to say that, I can see that he might be like, just woken up from sleep, but he's excited, okay? I've sometimes seen messages, what is passion? Passion is something that keeps you late in the night and, makes you actually wake up early in the morning. So the question that you've got to ask is, are you solidifying your passion to build the business? And it doesn't, you might be a quiet and a little bit maybe shy or a reserved person, and that is fine. You don't have to be like, like a bubbly or, like Tracy, okay? You don't have to be that Tracy, okay? You're like so excited. I was like, man, if I get 10% like her, it'll be awesome, right? Okay? You don't have to be like you can be your own personality, but you can have a fire within you to say, I'm actually getting the job done. Is that okay? Okay, so of course, thank you so much to the leadership for giving us the opportunity. I'm telling you, summer conference is right. In the next 4 weeks, do what it takes. Solidify your resolve. Why did you actually get launched in the business? Solidify that. Write that down tonight. So in the next 4 weeks, you can put in the best. You can put your best foot forward. Okay, I'm telling you, we've been, of course, Melbourne Vision 500 is, almost about to happen. Already, going on to 1,000. That's what we're talking about. Okay, and we know it's absolutely going to happen. We are absolutely getting, Platinum Push-Up done this year, and super excited about it. With that, we're done, and back to our phenomenal host, Dinan.